Peyton is in San Antonio. Hi, Peyton. Welcome to the EntreLeadership podcast.
I am a survey project manager out of San Antonio. Work for a company. My office does around $4 million a year with about 15 team members. My question for you today is: in our role in our job, we're typically working with limited staff options and training staff. So I find that my job, I have three main priorities. It's my team members and their health, and their work environment, their culture. Then it's production, QCing product, and then I have client acquisition and client relations. And I find it very difficult to balance those three, and I'm trying to figure out if there is a correct order to prioritize those three categories as opposed to just seeing which one slips up at different times.
The problem with prioritizing them as your process for deciding how to allocate your time is it could end up that you spend all of your time on the number one priority and none on the other two, which is not going to keep your business open.
Right.
So you can't really force rank prioritize and say, I really can't get to number two till I get number one done. That's not going to work. But you can just say, okay, I need X number of hours a week in client acquisition, or we don't keep more clients coming in than we lose to atrophy. Okay? You're going to lose a certain number of clients, and you need to put more in than that so you have some growth net. You follow me? So how many hours a week in client acquisition have you got to do that? And I just say I need to allocate that many hours to that. Culture and team training and so forth, same thing. I would just say how many, I would experiment with some hours. Have you ever run a time study on yourself and say, this is what I spend now?
No, right now it feels like it all just slips through. I would say that a lot of my job is production in training people and getting stuff out the door is a lot of my time, probably 80%. We do have a pretty high client demand, so we have the luxury of a lot of clients coming to us, but we still have daily reports, trying to keep them updated. And that usually those like weekly updates tends to fall through the cracks with what I'm doing. Instead, it's like I get the job.
The 15 people on your team, what do they all do?
Well, we have field crews, so that's half of them. And then the rest is other office CAD techs that are doing the drafting. But we kind of have a bottleneck on the top side. So I'm a licensed surveyor. We have one other licensed surveyor in-house.
Yeah, but do you have any admin?
We have one admin.
Are you understaffed on admin? Because weekly reports should be done by admins. The lead surveyor that's in charge of the whole stinking place doesn't need to be doing weekly reports. That needs to be delegated.
I guess we typically, the tradition is whoever's the project manager is also the only client point of contact for that project.
That's fine, but the admin can just send it out in their name.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've not thought about doing that.
Yeah, because that's doing those weekly reports is great because it keeps the communication lines open with the client. Client knows the project's rolling down the hill like it's supposed to be going down the hill. Everybody's happy with that communication because communication smooths out a whole lot of rough edges in everything in life. And so that communication's vital, but it's not necessary that I have to push the button on that. My assistant can push the button on that.
That's a great point.
Yeah, so let's find some things like that to get off of you. And then the things that you have to do, you have to sign off on stuff as one of the two surveyors. You don't have a choice. That's a law.
Right.
And so you've got to review that because your neck is on the line. You got to look at that. That's the time you've got to do. You've got to train the people. Now, do you have senior people in the field that could do some of the training?
We do. We do, and they are training a lot in the field side of things, and they only have to come to me for, of the rare occasion where
So
they
why
have
is it
questions.
taking up all your time?
Well, it's mostly on the CAD side, on the office drafting and putting together design surveys and all the different types of deliverables that we put together.
But a CAD is not, it doesn't require you to do a CAD. A CAD operator is a CAD operator. That's a technician, man. They can't do their work without you doing it.
Well, a lot of the people we hire are green, and so we have to train them in-house pretty much. And with our company, specified our company specs on all their formatting and drafting and textiles and all that training. I guess we're thin on senior staff. It's me and one other, so we're doing all the training on that. And yes, they start.
But there ought to be an end to the training. It shouldn't be ad infinitum. It shouldn't go on forever. You ought to be able to train somebody and then walk away.
Yes.
Otherwise, your training didn't take.
Yeah, I think the difficulty in the training is because the high variety of work that our particular firm does, a lot of firms will stick with one thing. So they're going to do lot and block surveys, and then it's like a mill turning them out, right? We do quite a variety of work, so sometimes we don't see another type of those jobs for another 2 or 3 months, and then by the time it comes back around, it's hard for them to keep up with that pace. But I think we're thin on
listen, you're putting time on. Okay, you call me up because you're time stressed, and the answer to solving your time stress is create delegatable systems and processes and people. You're either putting people in that you can't trust, or you haven't got the emotional maturity to turn loose once they've proven their competence. There's a whole lot of everything comes back to me in my whole conversation with you. It's up to me, it's up to me, it's up to me. And you're feeling, I can hear the pressure, the stress in your voice. I hear it in your vocal cord. You're carrying the weight of this whole stinking place. And you're not shoveling it downhill at all. You've got to get some people in place, like delegating those admins to push a button. You got to get these CAD guys up where they can freaking deliver. Their job is production. If they can't produce, then you hired the wrong people. They got to be able to do it. If I hire technicians that can't do the work after a little bit of basic stuff, then I hired the wrong people. And even if they are green, I got to get them moving. And so you got to get your senior people in the field that can do the field training more and more and more, so that all your time, because everything I'm bringing up, it's like you feel like you've got to do it. And I got to get that off of you for you to be able to move to the next level, because you're stuck on a treadmill. Everything's dependent on you, the production, everything. And so you're operating what ought to be a Pathfinder or a Trailblazer business at a treadmill level, because you haven't put delegatable people and delegatable systems in place that you trust enough to hand it off. And so one of the great joys of my life, Peyton, was when I reached a point that I could trust the competence and the integrity of different team members, which meant I could walk away and work was getting done at a level that I was proud of without me touching it. And that gave me scale immediately. It's the only way you get scale in business. If you got to touch everything, the ability to scale is horrible. And if you got to touch everything, it's very stressful, because you really do have this 300-pound weight on your shoulders. And you're walking around with stooped over going, God, this is killing me. You're going home at night. I can hear it. You're exhausted. So we've got to get some people and some processes in place in the next 3 months. I'm going to give you 3 months to do it. I just made that up, okay? But still, that's the most time you got, 3 months. You got to be delegating more. And the only way you can delegate is if you can trust their competence and you can trust their integrity. And so you lean in and you watch for patterns of the workflow. You check stuff. So I get like 200 emails a day, and 180 of those are just for me to not be surprised by something that's going on around here. They don't require me to do anything. It's just keeping me in the loop, and it's me keeping my fingers on the pulse of this place, knowing what's going on. So I'm checking accounting numbers. I'm checking key performance indexes, and I've got communication emails coming at me, and I can tell what's going on with 1,100 team members, and most of who I don't even know their name today. because the normal course of turnover in a business and the normal growth curve that we've been on, I haven't been able to keep up with their names. I used to know everybody's name and their dog's name and their kid's name, and I just don't anymore. But I'm still getting the vibe off of what's going on around here, and you can too. I'm going to send you a copy of the little quick read we did called Delegation, and then you can jump in on Elite at our website and join and get in there, and you can learn a whole lot about making these moves. You've got the right frustration, but the solution is not how we prioritize your time. The solution is you need to offload some crap. You need to quit doing everything, Superman. My wife used to, when I would come home sounding like you, Peyton, my wife would say, "You're not Jesus, that's his job. One Messiah, only one allowed. We don't have two." And so you can't carry it all. You're not omnipotent. You don't know all the answers. If you're the only one that knows all the answers, this business is screwed. And so that's the thing. You got to start growing. You got to start growing delegatable systems, processes, and people where you trust the competence, you trust the customer's care in someone else's hands other than just your own. And so I appreciate how responsible you are for all this and how diligent you are. But it's killing you. I can hear it in your voice. Hey, man, thank you for calling in. You're a good man. You're going to do great. You're a young leader. You're going to get this fixed. You're going to get it straightened out, and we're going to help you. Thank you for calling in, Peyton. This is the EntreLeadership Podcast.